In my other videos, we learned about producers and decomposers. So today's food chain feature is all about consumers, which will help us connect them all together.
A consumer is something that consumes or eats other things to get its energy. Remember that producers, like plants, can produce their own energy. Consumers cannot do that. There are several types of consumers. First, there are primary consumers. These critters eat producers. What is the name for creatures that only eat plants? If you guessed herbivore, you're correct. Then there are secondary consumers. These eat producers and primary consumers. What's the name for creatures that eat both plants and animals? Omnivores is the right answer there. Then there are tertiary consumers, which eat primary and secondary consumers. What's the name for creatures that eat mostly just meat? Carnivores. So the food chain shows us how energy is exchanged and reminds us that ultimately all energy comes from the sun.
So today's paddling adventure will take us down the west branch of the Narraguagus River, where I'll be looking for evidence of consumers here. Our first piece of evidence of a consumer is this piece of wood right here. What consumer is this evidence of? If you guessed beaver, you are right. They're primary consumers because they're herbivores.
What other evidence of consumers can we find on the river this evening? Here's lots of evidence of beaver activity. What other consumers' evidence is in this photo? That canoe shows evidence of humans. We are secondary consumers because we are omnivores. What consumer might have left this other consumer behind? Maybe a raccoon or a river otter? Check out that osprey perched high in that tree. Ospreys are tertiary consumers because they are carnivores who like to eat fish. Here's a very different bird and another example of a consumer, a hermit thrush. I watched it dart out over the river and snatch some mayflies out of the air for its evening meal. Here's a mayfly up close. Adult mayflies do not have mouth parts. They only live long enough to lay eggs, so they don't need to eat. Is it still a consumer? Who do you think is hiding in this tree? One of my very favorite animals, a porcupine. The sun has set, so it's time to head home, just in time to see the beavers on patrol. They splash their tails to warn other beavers of the danger that I might pose. But don't worry, they're safe with me.
What I love about canoeing is you're able to travel through nature completely silently, and so you're able to see some of the amazing things that I just saw this evening, from porcupines to beavers, hermit thrushes, ducks, and listening to the lovely sound of peepers on the spring evening. It's pretty special. We can easily find producers like plants and decomposers like fungi and invertebrates all around us, but consumers can be a little bit harder to find unless we're really quiet and we go out at times when they're more active, like right now at dusk when the peepers are being super noisy, which is really exciting. How many consumers do you think you can find evidence of in your backyard, or even in your house? Thanks for coming out canoeing with me. I had so much fun listening to the peepers and seeing porcupines and beavers and getting to be really quiet in the canoe exploring this river.